Good morning. I am Ed Hartle. My pronouns are he, him, and you are most welcome here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Palo Alto. We gather our different paths entwined to deepen our spiritual lives, nourishing connection, learning from each other, caring for each other, tending to our world. I really don't mind repeating those words again. Masks are not required, but are strongly encouraged. We express our mutual respect by supporting each other's decisions about masking, distancing, and other health measures. If you're here in person and you have questions about Unitarian Universalism or this congregation, please stop by the welcome table out back with a blue tablecloth and chat with a friendly member of our membership team. You can leave your contact information if you want to receive notifications of upcoming events, and if this is the week you want to join the congregation, you can also do that there today. Please note the upcoming events listed in the order of service, and note also the regular updates our church administrator Jeff Cashdollar is providing concerning our ongoing campus renovations. There may be some minor disruptions, but the plan is for us to continue meeting here in the main hall for Sunday services throughout the entire project. We had a brief announcement by Veronica Agranov-Defoe, who is going to be the accompanist for a benefit concert to be held here at the church next Sunday. Is it after the second Sunday lunch? 3 o'clock in the afternoon, thank you. With all proceeds to go for the benefit of ACLU. This is a repeat of an event that was very successful last year, and she's happy to be involved in bringing it about again here in this beautiful space that we share. So we're all strongly encouraged to attend that event. Our sermon this morning will be offered by our own Thida Cornes. As a half-Burmese Unitarian Universalist, she will reflect on the complex ways spirituality, culture, and daily life intertwine in Myanmar and invite us to consider what insights this rich tradition might offer our own spiritual journeys. And now, let us begin our service.
If you have a chalice there with you, please light it along with me. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. With our centering words each week, we draw on the many sources of our living tradition. Today's words are from Thich Nhat Hanh, true love, a practice for awakening the heart. This is the non-duality principle of Buddhism. There is nothing to throw away. If a person has never suffered, he or she will never be able to know happiness. If a person does not know what hunger is, he or she will never know the joy of eating every day. Thus, pain and suffering are a necessary condition of our understanding of happiness. As we follow the sound of the bell into silence, we allow ourselves to arrive here fully.
This is special for me. I've never been able to sit and enjoy the colorful quilt up close before, although I suppose being young at heart, I could accept the invitation any week. Greg Becker was feeling ill. He's feeling better, but decided out of concern for everyone that it was best that he stay away from church this morning. So I'll be reading the story for all ages. And let me invite anyone who is young or young at heart, would like to sit up on the colorful quilt to come join me. Thank you. So there are slides to go with the presentation. So this is come on in, please come. Yeah. So this is a Burmese children's story, and children in Myanmar or Burma, growing up without modern things like books and television, relied on stories told by parents and grandparents, especially grandmothers. And the author of this story, which is from there, was raised in a small town in southern Shan State. And it's described as a place so isolated that a 25-mile journey to the nearest town took a full day by truck. So they're really way off there someplace. And this story is called The Squirrels and the Bees. So, once upon a time, in the middle of a thick jungle, a family of squirrels lived in a big old tree trunk made up of many rooms. Some were for sleeping, and some were for storing nuts. Every day the squirrels climbed up and down the nearby trees, hopping from one branch to another to collect nuts, which squirrels think is the best food in the world. They love nuts so much that they never eat anything else. They crack them open with their strong front teeth, munch the delicious kernel and throw away the shells. Then they wash them down with the refreshing drops of water and dew that collect on the jungle leaves. So you can see pictures here of the squirrels. See? So every winter, when the weather was cool and bright, this squirrel family would work extra hard to collect nuts to store for the hot and rainy season when nuts didn't grow so plentifully. They always went in groups to look for nuts, helping each other and keeping each other safe. The older squirrels taught the younger ones how to find the best nuts and how to carry them to their tree. They also taught them how to listen out for the sounds of danger and how to defend themselves. In the evenings, the squirrels would sit around their stores of nuts and share stories and news about their nut collecting adventures that day. The nuts from the hazel tree near the bamboo grove are starting to ripen. They should be ready to be collected soon, said the leader squirrel one evening. But beware of that cobra who hides in the hole under that tree. Don't go near him. He is very hungry and dangerous. Why is he dangerous? Asked a curious young squirrel. Because squirrels are his food. He'll eat you like a nut, said the leader. The little squirrel's furry tail shivered with fear. The other squirrels smiled with amusement and listened with interest as they chomped down on some nuts. Another thing, said the leader, more seriously, watch out for swarms of bees. You see in the picture here, there's a swarm of bees. And yeah. See the bees? If there are lots of the bees this time of year, and they get angry and dangerous if you disturb them. The squirrels nodded, looking at each other with worried expressions. Soon it was bedtime. The squirrels curled up in their cozy beds made of twigs, and they dreamed about nuts. Lots of nuts. Early the next morning, the squirrels woke to a strange droning sound coming closer and closer. You see the picture? Can you guess what that strange droning sound might be? You think it might be bumblebees? It might be the bees coming? They all peered out of their tree trunk with amazement and fear to see a swarm of bees like a squishy black ball flying through the jungle toward them. The swarm landed on the bough that led from the entrance of the squirrels' home, blocking the path that they used every day as they set off to collect their nuts. The squirrels could only look in horror while the bees started building their hive outside the front door, making terrible buzzing noise. Inside the hive, they built a big cell for their queen to live in, and they surrounded her with smaller cells for baby bees and for storing honey. As soon as the hive was finished, the bees started flying to and fro, collecting pollen from nearby flowers. They were so busy they didn't even notice the squirrels peeping out from the hole in the tree trunk. Get out of the way, you're blocking our path, shouted the squirrels angrily. We need to get out so we can collect our nuts. But the busy bees paid no attention. See, the squirrels are trapped inside their tree because of where the bees have built their nest just outside. So the squirrels climbed over the hive, which started to crack and break underneath the weight of the squirrel feet. The bees were angry that the squirrels had damaged their home. They started to sting the squirrels. The squirrels retaliated by slapping at them. Get out of our tree, shouted the squirrels. This is where we live now, shouted the bees. We have the right to build our hive anywhere we like. Neither side would give up. They fought for a long time until they were all very tired. Sometimes that happens when you fight for a long time. In the end, to resolve their dispute, they all decided to go to a wise owl who lived close by. The trees have been our home since our ancestors' time, and no one is allowed to live on it except us. This tree has been our home, said the leader of the squirrels. There's the wise old owl, and some bees around in the background. Okay. Then on the other side, the bees said, we are bees, and we're allowed to make our hives anywhere we like by the guardian of the jungle, said the queen bee. The wise owl listened to them carefully, rubbing his beak with his wings. When both sides had finished saying what they wanted to say, the owl spoke. What both of you are saying is true, but neither of you is thinking about a compromise. You attacked each other, each believing you were in the right, and you didn't even think about the other's feelings. You didn't even stop to think that there might be opportunities for both of you if you can cooperate. The squirrels and bees regarded each other puzzled while the owl paused, rubbing his beak thoughtfully. Here is my judgment, said the owl at last. Instead of building their hive on top of the bough, blocking the entrance to the squirrel's home, the bees should build their hive on the lower side of the bough so that the squirrels can walk in and out of their house easily. In this way, the bees can keep an eye for dangers coming from the ground, like cobras, and the squirrels can keep an eye on dangers coming from the sky. Both the squirrels and the bees agreed to accept the advice of the wise owl, and ever since they have lived in harmony and unity while helping each other keep safe. That is why beehives can be seen dangling from the underside of tree boughs to this day. And there's the final picture with the squirrel on top of the bough and the beehive underneath, so everybody gets along just fine. See? So there was a happy ending. They found a way to all get together. So, thank you for listening to my story. Now, yes, you can go. Thank you. We're going to sing Spirit of Life, number 123 in the Gray Hymnal, and all who are going to children and religious education classes can go step out to the back during the song and join Edie Keating in the lobby, and she'll take it from there. So, thank you. Now, Spirit of Life. About 10 years ago, Drew and I had a chance to join a small group tour of Buddhist heritage sites in Sri Lanka. We were definitely interested. One of the group leaders was Stephen Batchelor, a favorite teacher of ours. And tradition holds that Sri Lanka is where the Pali Canon, the canonical texts of Theravada Buddhism, were first written down about 4 centuries after the Buddha's death. Much later, the monk Buddhaghosa was supposed to have come to Sri Lanka to compose and edit commentaries on the sutras, and these commentaries have also become foundational texts for many monks and nuns in the Theravada tradition. Here in the West, insight meditation, also called Vipassana, traces its roots to Theravada Buddhism. So, I was very interested in seeing how this religion was actually practiced there. I have to say my ideas about what I'd see and experience were pretty naive. I thought of Theravada Buddhism as a philosophical system, the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, and so on, plus a technology of mental development, mostly meditation practices aimed at developing concentration and insight. For years leading up to our Sri Lanka trip, Drew and I had been part of a monthly study group in which we had read through most of the major collections of sutras in the Pali Canon, in translation, of course. So I thought I knew what to expect. The Buddhism I thought I knew and was trying to practice was rational. Yes, there were supernatural elements, but I didn't think they were all that important, certainly not to me. There were devotional practices, but again, I didn't pay much attention to them. What we saw and experienced in Sri Lanka was a Theravada Buddhism that was almost completely unrecognizable. Here was a Buddhism where people reverently walked around shrines, a practice called circumambulation, where in temples, streams of devotees said prayers and placed flowers in front of huge Buddhist statues. And then from time to time, workmen with large plastic buckets came and swept the flowers away and carried them off to make room for more. We saw women bringing infants to a temple for auspicious blessings on New Year's Day. In Kandy, we visited the temple complex where the tooth relic is enshrined. The tooth relic is held to be an actual tooth of the Buddha preserved from his funeral pyre and smuggled to Sri Lanka by a princess hidden in her hair. By the time we got to the temple of the sacred tooth relic, we were familiar with the story from our guide Arosha's explanation of murals in other temples depicting the event. As we approached, we were struck by the beauty of rows and rows of glowing oil lamps at dusk. The grounds outside were peaceful and serene. The scene inside was different. Deafening drumming, blatty horns, crowds of people shuffling along narrow paths around large chests of scrolls recording the entire Pali Canon, and then the highlight, walking through a small room where we came within a few feet of the tooth relic itself. Or so we assume. It is contained in the smallest of 7 nested caskets, the outside ones covered with jewels. We had to go barefoot, no hats, wearing only white, and following strict rules for how to behave ourselves. Our guide, Arosh, had never been so close to the relic, and we could see how moved he was by the experience. Close to the end of our Sri Lanka trip, Shantum Seth, another of our tour guides, invited each member of our group to write a poem about what we had experienced. Here's what I wrote. 2 persons meet. What must they have in common? Each was born. Each wishes for happiness. Each is subject to aging and sickness. Each will die. 2 persons meet. Each says, I am Buddhist. What must they have in common? No more than this. Thank you. Now, please join in singing Meditation on Breathing, number 1009 in the Teal hymnal. We'll sing it through 3 times, and to make this more like a chanting, as might be experienced, closer to what might be experienced in Myanmar, let's sing it without the descant. The words are on screen and in the online order of service. If you could put up the slides, please. As a half-Burmese Unitarian Universalist, as I'd said, I'll reflect on the complex ways spirituality, culture, and daily life intertwine in Myanmar, and invite us to consider what insights my family's religion might offer our own spiritual journeys. I want to be clear from the beginning. My mother's family lives in Myanmar. This will not be a critique of the Burmese government. And frankly, I don't think we're in any position to cast stones, given what's happening right here in the United States. Instead, I want to share something more personal, how Buddhism as practice in Myanmar shaped my own spiritual understanding, how it weaves through everyday life, and how I see it connecting to our values as Unitarian Universalists. Burmese Buddhism is an intricate blend of Theravada Buddhism and Myanmar's older animist traditions. Pagodas often hold space for both Buddhas and Knots, the ancestral spirits still honored across the country. My first religious awakening happened in Myanmar. I was a child
visiting family in Yangon. They took me to the Shwedagon Pagoda, as seen here, the most sacred Buddhist site in the country. As you can see, it stands tall on a hill, glowing with gold leaf and reverence, visible from nearly every point in the city. I walked barefoot across the hot tiles to pour water over my birthday sign, Saturday. This is the Saturday corner in this slide where I stood. I was wearing a lungi, the traditional Burmese wraparound skirt like I'm wearing now. You can see. I'll get out from over here. Anyway, at the time, it was new to me because I was 8, and I remember being nervous it might fall down. Spoiler alert, I've worn a lungi many times, and it's never fallen down. I'm proud to wear it now, and this service is a rare occasion I get to wear it. Anyway, at the time I was nervous, and nervousness always makes my disability worse. My hands were shaking as I poured the water, first over the Buddha, and then the knot, which you could see in gold, below, which is the naga or serpentine knot. But no one noticed my hand shaking, or if they did, they didn't care. They had welcomed me with joy, and I just wanted to show respect for my family and for my family's culture. I didn't expect to feel much by the simple act of pouring water, and yet I did. I felt an overwhelming sense of calmness and love. And this photo is actually of my daughter, who has the same birthday, Saturday, as me. So she's doing the same thing. If I could go to a Burmese temple regularly, I would. I return to Myanmar whenever I can, and I always go to Shwedagon. On our most recent trip, I took my husband to the Sunday corner, his birthday. He poured water over the Buddha, and below, the Sunday birthday knot, a Garuda. I don't know if you can see the wings there. It's a half bird, half person. Then we took our son to the Thursday corner, his birthday sign, and watched him pour water over the Buddha and the rat. I hope you can see the rat there. Each of us honoring our birthdays. The Shwedagon literally glows, not just metaphorically. Its domes are covered in real gold, and LED lights flash from the Buddha's head, as you might be able to see in this picture. But it's not spectacle, it's not Disneyland, which also has a lot of LED lights. It's a living, breathing, spiritual space. One that, like many sacred sites around the world, blends reverence with state symbolism. Tourists wander with cameras and sun hats, while families kneel in prayer or gently pour water over statues. See the guard standing watch, if you can see in the middle of the picture there. And that's the booth where you pay if you're a tourist. You're required to pay an entrance fee and wear, quote, modesty clothes. Not necessarily a lungi, but definitely no shorts for anyone, men or women. You're also required to be barefoot. And guards will shoo away anyone not dressed appropriately. A small but clear reminder that they're guests in a space still shaped by devotion. Here's a shrine built by the wealthy to honor their ancestors with TV screens. You can see on the right, that's a TV screen of the Buddha. Notice the family praying, and the two boys turn to look at the camera. It's a contrast of crowds and silent spaces. There are stones in the patterns you can walk on. You're walking barefoot, so you notice the ground a lot more, how different stones absorb or reflect heat. That was the first meditation I learned. We learned these rituals from those who came before us. Here's my uncle teaching the newest generation how to offer incense. You can see my little nephew there. For once, my nephew wasn't trying to reach for the tip of the burning incense. I don't know what my uncle said to him, but at that age, it was a minor miracle to see him standing quietly, and that's why I took that photo. It's not just people we learn from, it's the spirits too, or knots, the ones that linger in walls, in shrines, in old stories passed down. Knots are covered in this incense wall. Knots don't just live in temples, they live everywhere, in people's homes, in nature. Most home altars incorporate them. Westerners call this animism, but to me it feels like an older layer of belief, like what we heard earlier in our story for all ages, where everything has a spirit. As Ed said in his reflection, Buddhism as practiced by ordinary people, like me, in Sri Lanka or Myanmar, isn't about philosophy or doctrine. It's not an intellectual pursuit. It's ritual. It's everyday practice. It lives in homes and temples. It is what you do. Meditation isn't always about sitting still, although you can see a lot of people that are sitting still, but if you notice in the background, there are also people who are in the process of moving. The secret is in motion as much as in silence. You can walk along these green tiles in a quieter part of the temple and meditate. And many boys become monks for a short time as a rite of passage. In this slide, the two boys in the background, that you can probably see with shaved heads and brown robes, are most likely temporary monks, since they didn't choose a quiet area to do their walking. And one isn't actually meditating, as you may be able to see, but is instead looking at the camera. And Buddhism is not confined to monasteries or temples. If you open a Burmese English language newspaper, like 11myanmar.com, you'll find Buddhist quotes tucked between articles about weather and politics. Like, if you can't find peace within, no place will offer you peace without. Or suffering exists, but so does compassion. Westerners are often confused when Buddhism says life is suffering. They think it's like sin, but it's not. Sin is about moral failure. It has an origin story, Adam and Eve, something to overcome, to be forgiven for. But suffering in Buddhism is just part of being an ordinary human. We love and we lose. That hurts. We get hungry, as mentioned in the quotes. We age. We get sick. Even joy fades. That's suffering too. The goal isn't to avoid suffering unless you become a monk or a nun. It's to understand it. Suffering comes from attachment, yes, but ordinary people are attached, not just to others, but to everyday things like eating. And that's where compassion comes in, not as a rule, but as a natural result of realizing we all suffer. To many Burmese, with their large extended families, there is actually no word for cousin, only brother or sister. So my cousin is my brother or sister. And multiple generations often live together. Westerners suffer from a lack of family. I was regularly asked how I live in the US, and while they were impressed with our cars, got a lot of questions about that, My Burmese family expressed compassion that I lived only with my siblings and my parents, with other relatives miles away. This gets at some of the complexity of Buddhism as a state religion. If Western life is presented in its entirety as a contrast with Burmese life, many aspects, particularly its individualism, can seem to go directly against Buddhism. And most Burmese people aren't monks, but nearly everyone practices. Children offer flowers at the altar, people visit temples on the full moon, and there's a lot of reverence for monks, who most monks and nuns devote their lives to Buddhism. Here's one you can see in there. Living simply and intentionally. They wear the same robes that have been worn for centuries. You can see the brown. They shave their heads, walk barefoot to receive alms, ritually begging for food, and they don't eat before noon. Their life is one of renunciation, but their relationship with lay people is mutual. The community provides food and shelter. And you can see us here, next slide, here we are receiving spiritual teachings and blessings. It's a shared spiritual economy. And it's deeply gendered, like most of Burmese culture. Most revered figures are men. Explaining Burmese gender roles would be its own sermon, but here are a few highlights. In Burmese culture, the husband goes to live with the wife's family. Women are considered emotionally stable and better with practical matters. Men have what's called a pawn, which I'm sure my mom would say I'm mispronouncing. I'm sure I am. It's a mix of what we might call fragile male ego and quick temper. So maybe the men who become monks have overcome their pawn and are wiser for it? I don't know, since I learned about pawn from a book. My uncle speaks the best English, and in a culture where sex segregation is a norm, it would be rude to ask. I'm not sure I would even ask someone in the US this question. It would be kind of difficult to say, do you have a pawn? Female monks, nuns, the female on the right side of this slide with pink robes, receive less recognition and support. Yet here this nun is alone doing a walking meditation. A woman who wasn't a nun would never be alone. Her family would be with her. I say this not to defend sexism, but that Burmese gender roles are different. One of the worst insults a Burmese wife can say to her husband is a phrase that I won't literally translate for you, but it means, you are not treating me as an equal. And this is in a culture where direct statements are not typically made, where if you want someone to turn on the light, you say, it's dark. Myanmar. In this cart is a hot air balloon for tourists. In Myanmar, religion and state are closely intertwined. The government presents itself as deeply religious, aligned with the people's values. I don't know why my mic is cutting out. I hope you can still hear me. Like the US, whose money says it uses religious imagery and quotes to show it shares the people's beliefs. President Trump often wraps himself in Christian symbolism, holding a Bible, invoking God, aligning with religious beliefs, aligning with religious leaders. Religion can inspire, but it can also legitimize power. And that too is something Buddhism warns us about. Attachment, ego, illusion, whether individual or institutional. This is where our UU tradition asks us to hold complexity. We affirm wisdom wherever we can find it. But we also know any tradition, ours included, can be misused. I love my family's culture. I see the good, and I know that power and faith don't always serve people equally. So what does that mean for us as UUs? We don't have one sacred text, we don't follow one doctrine, but we affirm the worth and dignity of every person. We seek truth and meaning. We practice compassion. Many of us draw from Buddhist teachings, like the centering words that I used. We sing meditation chants, like meditation on breathing. But we sometimes forget spirituality is not just a philosophy, and that part of our mission statement is to deepen our spiritual lives. We need to show up. We have our own rituals. We ring a bell at every service, though not as big as this one. What would it mean to wash the Buddha? We do light a candle, but what if we, on our birthday, not because we believe in Buddhism or even anything, but because we believe in marking time with ritual? What if we stopped separating the spiritual from the mundane? I don't want to romanticize Burmese Buddhism. Like any tradition, it has its limits. It can exclude, it can be patriarchal, it can be conservative, but it has endured through colonization, through diaspora. It has offered ordinary people peace, purpose, and belonging. And for me, it offered my first glimpse of what religion could be. Not just belief, but a way of walking through the world. When I think of the Shui Dagon, I see the gold, its spires rising up above the city, brilliant even in twilight. I hear the chants. I smell the incense. I see the people praying, walking or sitting, or meditating. And I remember and I remember washing the Buddha and my knot. And I remember spirituality is not always grand, even though the Shui Dagon is grand, but it's often small, repeated acts, pouring water, kneeling, walking with purpose, pausing in silence. We may not all chant or meditate, but we too practice ritual as we're doing right now, seeking something that helps us face the suffering of this world, not to turn away, but to meet it with compassion. Thank you. Thank you.
We create this space together, not out of wood and glass, nor even out of electricity and binary signals, but out of our presence. Wherever we are today, we have chosen to be together, hoping that together we can do so much more to make our lives into all that we dream of, and make our world into the one we hope to see. If we are moved by gratitude to each other, we may choose to support, with whatever financial resources we can, this community that we are creating and that is creating us. You can use cash or check or the QR code or text info in the order of service. The offering will now be given and received.
May I be happy. suffering. May my neighbor be healthy, and may my neighbor find peace. May my foes be happy. May my foes be free from suffering. May my foes be healthy, and may my foes find peace. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be healthy, and may all beings find peace. May all beings find peace. May all beings find peace.
Thank you. Please join in singing Return Again, number 1011 in the Teal hymnal. Words are on screen and in the order of service. We're going to sing it through 3 times with the repeats as shown, and Ruth is going to let us sing it a cappella the 3rd time through. So.
Return
In the end, only three things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you.
So the subtitle of this song is the ACLU song. And so I hope you will hear it as a preview of the concert next week. I wrote it shortly after the election, and I had read a piece by the esteemed Buddhist scholar Bhikkhu Bodhi, and he said, "This is no time to be neutral." So he suggested that we go into our meditation practices to sort of gird our loins, and then to go out and find people who are doing things to mitigate the harm that we're seeing. So here's my little song. Well, the price of eggs was too damn high, so some folks decided to take a chance on the crazy guy one more time. Never mind the lies or the riots he incited, or the reckless loss of life. And now his gazillionaire, child of apartheid, has taken a wrecking ball to all we hold dear. No checks, no balances. What can we do? Are we powerless? Or can we find a way to see this through? Take heart and join together. Find community. A million voices strong, we can rise up. Hit the streets in protest. Call on our leaders to be strong. Speak out and sing along. We can rise up. We can rise up. 'Cause we are one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes, we are one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And justice for all. Don't give up, you're not alone. Be courageous. Support the poor, the homeless, the endangered. Hold on to the truth, it still matters. Hold on to hope, though your heart may lie in tatters. 'Cause there are seeds of love and kindness all around you. In every breath, in every step you take. Yes, there are heroes fighting dragons, let that ground you. AOC and Bernie Sanders, Al Green, they're singing, we shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. And when you get discouraged, just remember the ACLU will sue. The ACLU will sue. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here. And I'm sorry I can't be here next week because of a death in my family, but always so wonderful to come to this room where I was married to my wonderful spouse, Brenda, and this beautiful piano and share with you. So thanks again.
Whether online or here in the main hall, please stay after the benediction for our conversation time. We all begin with greeting time, a chance to speak with someone you haven't met before or haven't seen in a while. Old-timers, please greet a newcomer and see if you can find out enough about what brought them here to introduce them to someone else they'll want to meet. Now, if you're online, please unmute yourself, turn on your video, and touch hands virtually like this while we say our benediction together. And if you're in the main hall or the patio, reach out to hold hands if you and the person next to you are comfortable with that. Or to show that you're connected in spirit, cross your hands over your heart. So, go out into the world in peace. Be of good courage. Hold fast to what is good. Return no one evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Rejoice in beauty. Speak love with word and deed. Honor all beings.